I felt like this show would have aired and killed on Disney XD. It had like a Disney XD vibe.
I assure you it does not stay that way.
Like, it would cut to commercial, and I was just really ready for, we'll be right back to My Hero Academia on Disney Channel. I was like...
Hello and welcome to the Nerdiest Podcast, the show where nerds talk about nerdy things. I'm one of your hosts, Mr. Nick Barrett, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, my ride or die, Mr. Jackson Glass. And today, we are doing another episode of Jackson's Anime Adventure. And you might be thinking, didn't you just do an episode a couple weeks ago? We sure did, but this one has a lot of special significance and meaning and purpose, because this episode is being released on August 5th, 2024. And what that means, for those who don't know, is that the My Hero Academia manga has officially ended as of today. I have not read the chapter yet because as of time of recording, it's not out yet. But it will be by the time this episode comes out. So what better way to honor that than by having Jackson watch My Hero Academia? So he watched the entire first season, and I say he watched because I didn't rewatch this time because I literally just rewatched the first season like 4 months ago. Because I did a whole like series.
We watched
rewatch.
part of it
was
together,
already
though.
Fresh in my mind.
We watched part of it together, though.
We did. We watched the first 4 episodes together. So we'll be talking about the
So there
whole
you
first
go.
season. Great place to start. Great place to jump in. You know, you gotta start. Your journey starts now, Jackson. As if your anime adventure hadn't
Yeah.
been going, but it starts now. But
yeah.
before that,
Let's say that.
before that,
Before that.
Jackson, I want to know how you've been. How you been?
Oh my gosh.
Since we last recorded,
Bro,
Do share.
let me tell you. Dude, listen. Summer's wrapping up. Anyone that's in school, you get it. You know, summer's coming to a close, and that makes me a little sad. Because if you've been following the show, you know that I just got engaged recently, and we're planning a wedding, and this will be the last time that I am at home, because by this time next year, when I'm out for the summer, I'm gonna be moving in with my wife. Isn't that weird?
Yo, I didn't even think about that.
Isn't that weird?
Oh
So,
my goodness, I didn't even think about that.
So this
Whoa.
this is my last week at home, ever.
Well,
Granted, I might have to move
Christmas
back
break,
in.
Do you not?
Right? No, I do. But this is the first long term move back.
Right.
Because for Thanksgiving break, we come back, but we don't move all our stuff, and Christmas is the same way. Man, so that's kind of that kind of hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is bizarre. Granted, given this economy, I might have to move back in at some point, but
True.
you know, so yeah, here's your weekly wedding planning update is we're looking at bands, and we want to have a jazz band at our wedding, and we're looking at that, and it's actually going really well. We just booked our honeymoon, and that's very exciting. We have the bougiest hotel that I will ever stay at ever in my life, and I'm so excited. And yeah, that's that. We're gonna start trying food soon, and that is the part that I am excited about. Is we get to sample all these foods and desserts, and then choose which ones that they're gonna actually serve there, and that's gonna be the best part, because you just eat for free. Well, not for free. You sample it so you can pay thousands of dollars for them to feed, a couple hundred people at your wedding. So lots of exciting stuff, lots of great there, but that realization of oh my gosh, I'm not coming home. That hit me this week, and I was like, holy crap. So that's what I'm doing, but I'm excited for school to start back. We'll probably hold on. What's the calendar? I might have one more
This
episode.
may be the last episode at home.
Hold on. Yeah, because I move in. Yeah,
You move in like a week from Monday,
a week
right?
from So, holy cow. Whew. This is getting a little more emotional than I expected.
Wow.
Shoot, dude. Anyway. Frick. Anyway. Yeah, this week has been chill. Just planning stuff like that. Planning to get ready to go back to school. Planning, just doing work stuff. Doing lots of videos on YouTube. Working on that. If you're not subscribed to the Glass Studios, GLAS Studios. Also link in the description. You can go there. Other than that, I'm Jay chillin', working on videos, working on work, and, you know, trying to make it in the world, and watching My Hero, and watching some YouTube, not enough, but watching some YouTube, and, yeah, that's what I've been up to, and I've been good. So, yeah, Mr. Nick, what have you been doing? What are you up to?
Well, right now I'm writing a community tab post for my live stream tonight because
Booyah.
I procrastinated to the point where I did not know what I was streaming until yesterday because I said, hey, Twitter, quick, decide now. And I put up a poll. But what was even more interesting about that is I've been off Twitter for almost 3 whole days now.
Wow.
Because we're recording this on Friday. Because the leaks for the last chapter of My Hero came out. They leaked Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. So Tuesday night I got off because I didn't want to know anything. I don't want to know how many pages. I don't want to know what, like, cover pages. I don't want to know anything. I want to go in as blind as possible. And my timeline, the problem is because I'm so ingrained in the, like, fandom and the fan base, it all just kind of seeps. And, like, people even spoiler tagging, like, I don't want to see anybody's thoughts. I don't want to know anything about it. So I can go in with a non-biased, oh, this person said this is what that thing means. I'm like, no.
No.
That's for after I read the chapter. If it were any other chapter, I usually am just like, sure, I'll look at this, like, scans of the pages, and I can't read the Japanese.
Right.
But this is like the last chapter. You only get to react to the last chapter once. So I'm not. No spoilers. So I'm like worried about streaming tonight because I'm like, if somebody shows up and says something in chat, you're getting perma-banned instantly. And I'm going to make that abundantly clear at the beginning of, like, anybody says any spoiler, perma-ban, gone.
You're done.
No,
hey, you're done.
no timeout, no, ban, gone.
Yeah.
So
I
aside
actually,
from that,
I'd like to make a prediction for the final chapter. Ready? As someone that has seen
your 13 episode,
as someone that has seen the first season of My Hero Academia, I think I have a pretty good grasp on the story. So, I think in the end, they're gonna have a big fight. Hold on, I'm getting there. There's gonna be a big fight, and then Deku is like, "Oh, I'm gonna sacrifice myself," and he, like, does his little run thing, and he, like, goes up and he's like, all for one for all, and then he, like, Hulk smash really big on this bad guy, but then All Might, like, swaps in at the end and, like, saves his life and sacrifices him, and then he sheds a single tear. Deku sheds a single tear, and he says, it really was our Hero Academia. And then they all do a high-five freeze frame, and then a Smash Mouth song plays. That's my theory. That's my prediction. But we'll see. I've got a lot of money on that one. That's what I'm expecting. Anything less will be not worth it. That's all I'm saying.
All right. I'll get back to you on Sunday after I read the chapter.
Yeah, let me know if I was right.
A lot of people have this running theory, which will presumably has been debunked and was kind of a dumb theory. But everyone's, like, running theory was that the whole series was a figment of his imagination. Because
That's stupid.
A, there's two scenarios. Both of them required him to be dead. Either A, he jumps off the building and unalives himself after Bakugo tells him to, and in like the last few seconds before he hits the pavement, he gets like this flash of
what his life could have been
of the series, and then you get to the end and it's just like him
like
smashed head against the pavement, and they're like, My Hero Academia, the end.
Yeah.
Or when the sludge villain shows up, they're like, oh, he dies there, and gets this whole like splash of
that's
what his
stupid.
life could be. Both of those
stupid.
have literally been debunked, by the way.
Yeah.
It's all too complex to be a life flash before my eyes type series.
Type beat.
So
yeah. Anyway,
we'll see.
Yeah, that's what's going on, and we're gonna get to that here in just a moment.
In a moment.
But we do have some news, because there was a little event. It was just a little private thing called San Diego Comic-Con, and I don't really know who was there. I wasn't invited. That's okay, but it was.
We should have been there.
I should have been there. That's what I'm saying. Like we went to the small convention. Now I'm ready for Comic-Con. Like
No.
I was prepared with the
No.
Now I'm ready.
No. You're not even close.
So
Those big conventions are worse than Disney, by the way.
I mean, they're like, can you imagine the energy in that room though? Like,
I can't. Can
it'd
you
be
imagine
something.
like if you thought your people battery gets drained quick at that small convention, I'd like look at San Diego Comic-Con and be like, all right, I'm tired. I'm going back to the hotel.
Yeah. There would be enough to see though that I would power through. Like
Oh
I would.
yeah, it's San Diego Comic-Con.
Right.
I would power through.
Oh yeah.
I would just
So-
be exhausted every day.
Oh yeah, and it'd be a story of a lifetime. So,
Great
San
dad
Diego
lore.
Comic-Con. The main thing people are talking about right now is Marvel and what they presented at San Diego Comic-Con. Now, this will connect to a movie that we saw this week recently, and we're going to give a review for Deadpool and Wolverine here in just a minute, just a quick little thing. But we want to talk about Marvel's new announcements, and I have a little thing pulled up with the list of everything that they talked about. Now, Captain America: The Brave New World got a reveal, and they said that Giancarlo Esposito, which we knew he was going to be in it, when we saw him talk at that panel at the conference, and everyone asked, they were like, no one knows who you're playing, like, can you tell us who you're playing? And he was like, no, because it was like a week before Comic-Con, so like he couldn't say. But they say that he will be playing Sidewinder, who is a leader of the Serpent Society, a criminal enterprise that usually has less grand aspirations than some of Marvel's other villains, which seems to suggest this movie will be a bit more low-key than some of its more fantastic cousins. This is from Polygon, by the way. So it looks like A Brave New World will be more espionage, like the
Good.
Winter Soldier. And I'm actually kind of excited. Like Giancarlo Esposito and Harrison Ford, and then Anthony Mackie is like gonna do a great job. Like he's gonna do great. And the trailers are looking very much like a 2000s disaster movie, and it's very much like Harrison Ford as the president, but it's corrupt, and it's like all this political and I'm like so in. I'm very excited.
I watched a
And
trailer
then-
and I saw them blow up part of the White House.
Right.
And I was like, given the political climate, are we allowed to do that? Like,
yeah,
I know it's all fictional. Like, and there has to be this separation of fiction
Mm-hmm.
from reality. But at the same time, like,
do you think that this is going to be some political statement? Like, do you think there's going to be some kind of like
no, this is
underlying motive, or do you think it's going to be more like we just wanted to explode stuff and have Harrison Ford be the president?
I think they
like,
just wanted to explode stuff, have Harrison Ford be the president, and call it a day.
I really hope so, because if it turns into like this whole thing, it wouldn't be fun. Like, so they also did premiered some of the Thunderbolts footage, which I couldn't find the footage.
I think
if
it
you
was just
search-
private for the panel.
Okay. Well, if you search up Thunderbolts trailer on YouTube, there's like 10 like fake ones that I just like. At what point in your life do you get to so low of a point that you make fake Marvel trailers in your free time? Like,
those bring in some serious revenue.
they bring in monster views because they're false. Anyway, I'm not excited for the Thunderbolts, mainly just because the Winter Soldier's the only character on that lineup that I really needed to see again. And outside of that, it felt like a really hodgepodge team. But I also don't really like Florence Pugh, so
Fair.
none of that. So they also got Fantastic Four. They showed some footage there. Not a whole lot to cover on that since it's so far out, but I really like the casting, and so I'm really excited to do that. Now, the most pressing news that everyone has been talking about is they announced 2 new Avengers movies at San Diego Comic-Con, being Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars.
Rest in peace, Kang.
Rip. And then those are releasing on May 1st to 2026 and then May 7th, 2027, which feels so far, but it's going to come before we know it. And
But
I
do
feel
you
like
remember 2 years ago? We were basically, I think, hold on. I'm going to do some
Hold on.
quick maths here. I'm pretty sure we were sitting here chit-chatting about 2 years
Yeah.
ago. This same thing,
Yeah.
right? And they announced these movies then too.
They announced the Avengers movies. I'm pretty sure we did. Was that the Marvel?
Yeah, the Marvel
Marvel
Fatigue
downfall?
Saga, August 8th, 2022. So it's been 3 days, which makes sense. We're only 3 days off.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marvel announced 16 new projects at San Diego Comic-Con in 2022. Some of
Yeah.
them being these 2 Avengers movies. The only thing they've done is they went from the Kang Dynasty to Doomsday, and then Secret Wars, I think, got flipped with Doomsday.
Yeah.
But
they,
I just remember because you're like, wow, that seems so far away, 2026
Right.
and 2027. And I was like, bro, we said the exact same thing.
We said that
2 years
Well,
ago.
it's
Because we're
still
like,
too
wow,
far.
that's so far away.
yeah.
And it's like, I mean, it's only
That's-
2-3 years away. It's not that far.
Yeah, but it still feels like too much to announce cast because obviously like it used to be a Kang movie and they pivoted that really fast. So like I still don't believe it. Now, the biggest news that everyone's talking about that I have opinions on is Victor Von Doom being announced as Robert Downey Jr. coming back to the MCU. I've heard a lot of takes on this, some good, some bad, a lot of bad. Tell me what you think. RDJ, Doctor Doom, do we care? Like, what's the vibe?
The vibe is, I don't know. This sounds bad. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
That's
at a
kinda where
point
I'm
with
at,
Marvel
too.
where I'm like, okay, that's cool that you brought him back. It feels very cash grabby of like,
Yeah.
oh no, the current Marvel is failing, so we need a face and a name to really bring it back. So we're gonna put him in a role where he's gonna be behind a mask most of the time anyway. So it's like, I don't know. If they do it right, it could be fine. I just don't want him to be an Iron Man variant that's like evil now.
Right.
Instead of being an original character. And I think that's a lot of people's issue with it, is it's not that RDJ is doing it. It's just that seems like their go-to now is going to be, oh, he's an Iron Man variant that turned evil, and I don't know.
Yeah, I pretty much agree, and I'm kind of like, look, Robert Downey Jr. is a great actor. He just won an Oscar for Oppenheimer. Like, you know, he's not bad, and he obviously very clearly loves these movies and wants to be in them. And, you know, he said he would only do it if the Russo brothers were directing, so they are. But they gave him $100 million to be in these 2 movies. That is I don't comprehend
That's a chunk of the budget,
$100 million.
dude.
Yeah. There are most movies don't have an entire budget of $100 million. Okay, here's the thing. Marvel movies have much higher budgets. The Multiverse of Madness budget was like $250 million, but that movie like is awful for $250 million. You can't. So I'm wondering if they're like still just throwing money at their stuff and hoping that it works out. And I don't care that he's Doctor Doom. I just don't, like you said, I don't like that it's probably going to be like a multiverse variant thing, because I'm just like, why can't we just move on? Like,
or why can't we cast a different person as Doom?
Right. Like why can we not have a good Doctor Doom adaptation? And why... I don't know. It's just kind of frustrating because I like am expecting to be sat down in that theaters for that Avengers movie, and he's gonna like rip off his mask, and they're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, Tony," and he's gonna be like, "Who's Tony? He sounds like a good-looking guy," and I'm just gonna like, it's just not. It's not gonna.
They have to do it right.
They got to do it right. I saw someone's theory that they were like, "Oh, Tony is the anchor being of this world, and when he died, it started to fizzle out, and so they bring in a Tony variant to try to save it, but it turns out to be Doctor Doom." And I'm like,
that's literally the plot of Deadpool and Wolverine.
Literally the plot of Deadpool and Wolverine. I was
Are
like,
they so desperate that they would steal their own plot? Yes.
I'm like, yes, but you know, I was just kind of like, okay, I don't have a problem with RDJ. I'm just not confident that it will be handled correctly. And it's just not, we can't keep doing the old actor in comic accurate costume bit. Like, this isn't gonna go on forever. It's gonna lose its spice, and we're gonna just be like, okay, and then it's gonna ruin Iron Man, and then you're gonna like retcon the actual good part of the MCU. And it's not gonna be good, and I'm scared. But that being said, Deadpool and Wolverine was a movie that we saw recently, and we'd like to do a quick little review for you. Now, I'm going to say if you haven't seen it and you want to stay away from spoilers, you'll probably want to skip ahead, because I'm going to say some stuff. I have some thoughts about very specific moments that I want to bring up, and so skip ahead a little bit if you don't want Deadpool and Wolverine spoilers, but you've been warned. So, Mr. Nick, give me some general thoughts. Deadpool and Wolverine, probably the biggest comic book movie we'll get this year. Like, truly, something pretty insane would have to just come out of nowhere to top it, because this is like the highest R-rated box office opening ever.
If I want to like skirt fences and cross some T's, dot some I's, technically, the My Hero Academia movie coming out is based on a comic in Japan.
Okay. No.
So it's technically a comic book movie. Is it a comic book movie in the sense of what you're talking about? No. But technically speaking, it is. Anyway.
Is it going to have the biggest R-rated box office opening of all time?
No, because it's not going to be rated R, and that's the best part.
Exactly.
General thoughts. The more I think about it, the more I really hate the concept of anchor beings.
Yeah.
Because, like, okay, so now...
Because, like, why?
every universe will eventually just fizzle out, and, like, people can't be happy. Who's the anchor being of the MCU? The Sacred Timeline.
Right.
Or does the Sacred Timeline not have an anchor being because it's the Sacred Timeline?
Right. Is this their way to retcon, or...
I don't know. Someone said, I don't remember which movie it was for, but someone said they finally addressed the Celestial sticking out of the earth, and I'm like, good. Only took you 4 years, because I think it's in Captain America, so it's
yeah, but that wasn't
it's 2025
like that.
So I'm like, yeah, only took you 4 years to mention it again. That's cool.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Side tangent. Is this new Captain America movie going to be the first time we get a sequel Marvel movie that doesn't have the original character in it? Because this is technically
I
Captain
think
America
so.
4.
but
it's
it's
not Chris Evans.
I
That's
think you're
interesting.
right. Huh.
Anyway,
Very fascinating.
Deadpool
Anyway.
and Wolverine, I thought it was good. There was a lot of it that I just didn't relate to, or not relate to, but like didn't
connect with.
connect with, because I didn't watch any of the old like Fox Marvel movies. I had only seen the first Deadpool movie, and like, sorry guys, I'm really tired. I'll be lucky if I make it through this entire episode. I never watched any of those movies. I only saw the first Deadpool. And I really hate that they're touting this as an MCU movie when he's not in the MCU.
But he is now.
No, he's not.
I mean,
He went back to his timeline. The guy offered him a choice and said, do you want to go to the sacred timeline, which is the MCU, or stay in yours and die? And he saved his and stayed there.
Yeah, but it's hard because him not being in the sacred timeline doesn't not make it an MCU movie.
No,
because
but
it's the
anything
cinematic
that's not
universe.
on the sacred timeline is not the MCU.
Is outside.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know.
I don't
Maybe it's
consider
adjacent enough. Is it
'cause then you
adjacent
open
enough that
yourself
they're
up
considering
to
it?
like
To so many
ooh,
plot holes.
Well, because Toby and Andrew were in No Way Home, that means the
Right.
Sony Spider-Man movies are, which means Morbius is a part, which means
Right.
that Madam Web is,
and it's
and
like,
her web
oh
connects
my
them
gosh.
all. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, no, that's not how this works. Because then it extrapolates to like into the Spider-Verse and across the Spider-Verse. And I'm like, yes, there's something for a multiverse, that's fine. But to then say everything is a part of the MCU because one character came through, interacted briefly, and then left does not make it canon to the MCU. No. So there's that. I thought Deadpool and Wolverine was fine. It was fun. It was action. It was great. I definitely am I docked it 3 points because there were so many swear words in it, which sounds like a weird thing to do going into a rated
Deadpool
R
movie.
Deadpool movie. But I don't know. Something about it just turned me off. I'm like, I don't need to listen to Ryan Reynolds swear for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Did you see this movie set the new record for most F-bombs in a Marvel Deadpool movie?
I mean, oh, yeah. It absolutely does.
I
There
think
is
this
no
one has
contest.
118.
See, that's a lot.
There's 119
See,
F-bombs in the Marvel Cinematic
here's-
Universe. One from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and 118 from Deadpool and Wolverine.
See, here's the thing. As I watched the second Deadpool movie the night before Deadpool and Wolverine, and I was so glad I did because there were so many connecting things that made so much sense from the second one. And I think the 3 Deadpool movies just get better as they go up because they add more heart the deeper you go. Because the first one is like good, but it's like he's really like chiseled and like not super likable yet, it's like weirdly sexual and like super like weird stuff to skip. And then the second one has like way less nudity, like almost none, but like the swearing is ramped up. And then the third one is like if you want to drop 118 F-bombs and keep your clothes on, I will take that like any day of the week. Like if you want to just swear throughout the whole movie and have no nudity, sure. Like I'll take that over a scene to skip. And so the language wasn't horrendous. I was pretty prepared going in. Like I knew that that's what it was going to be, but it was a lot. Like Hugh Jackman got a potty mouth on him. That guy was not the greatest showman in this movie. But Deadpool and Wolverine hit my number 2 ranking for the year. I thought it was phenomenal. Now, it is not perfect by any means because I think it has some pacing issues. I think it had some missed opportunities, and I think I think there was some stuff that fell a little flat and some stuff that I didn't connect with as much without also not being a huge X-Men fan. But I still thought it was phenomenal. I thought that they handled a ton of stuff super well. I thought that it was the best use of the multiverse, like, probably ever, because they've done so many multiverse things that are like, this is world ending, this is life ending, this is life changing, this sucks. What if this person killed this person? And we're like, it was so negative and so nihilistic and so just like, so depressing. And so to finally have like a really fun take on the multiverse of it's like, yeah, we can do anything, so why not, spoiler alert right here, so why not throw Chris Evans in as the Human Torch? Like, that's hilarious, let's do it. And I feel like that's what's so frustrating to me about the multiverse is they're like, yeah, we open the multiverse so we can do whatever we want, and then they do the same thing every single movie, and they just like keep throwing around like, this world is going to end and this world is going to end, this universe is at risk, and I'm just kind of like have gone numb. Like, I don't care that universes are ending anymore because they've threatened to do that 50 times at this point, and I'm kind of like, you're not actually going to do it. Like, they don't have the balls to end a single universe in Marvel. And so it's kind of like, that's kind of what I mean when I say, like, it's still not perfect, because I don't think it redirected Marvel in the way that fans were hoping it would. It's a step in the right direction, but we were really, really wanted essentially a retcon, and essentially to be like, hey, no more multiverse. And it'd be like, they'd be like, this is the end all be all. We are cleansing the timeline. We're figuring it out, and we're done. That's it. But it looks more like they said, hey, we're going to try to do the multiverse better, which is fine, and it's better than what we have been doing, but it's not what a lot of fans really wanted it to be, which is okay. You don't have to listen to the audience entirely. I'm just not 100% confident in their plan moving forward.
Right.
But regardless of how I feel about that, I think this is one of their best movies. Like, I really, really loved it. I want to buy the Blu-ray. I might see it in theaters again, honestly. I thought it was super fun.
No, movie theaters are too expensive to do that. What are you talking about?
Well, you go on $5 movie day. That's what I'm saying.
We don't have that here.
I paid for the premiere tickets, my friend. I went the Thursday night before.
Hey,
and I was
did
like,
too.
This is better be worth my $15. And then I bought popcorn, so it was $20.
I bought movie theater Well, I didn't buy a popcorn and a drink.
$25.
Because I had free points to use at Regal.
Right.
And I made the mistake, and this is why I never get drinks or popcorn at the theater. I had to pee twice during that movie because I sucked down the lemonade before the trailer started.
Oh.
So then, like, 20 minutes in, whenever whenever they got captured with Chris Evans, I was like, I really gotta go. I'm not gonna make it, man.
Bro.
So I like sprinted out to the bathroom, came back, sat back down. I was like, okay, we're halfway through the movie. Good. We're like an hour in. I'll be fine. Start sipping. We were 25 minutes in. So we get to an hour 30, and I'm like, I gotta pee again. I gotta go really bad. But I held it because I was like, well, this is the climax of the movie. Like, I cannot miss anything.
I can't miss it.
So, I don't know.
Can I let
and then
you
the
in
popcorn just...
It just dries out. It's so salty, and then you need a drink, and then you got to pee.
That was the problem.
Do you want to know my psychological trick to avoid this issue? So...
Just don't
one, just don't. Two... Here's the thing. I love movie theater popcorn. I grew up eating movie theater popcorn. I have movie theater popcorn for dinner sometimes. Like, it is phenomenal, right? Love it. Now, what the problem is what you just described. If you have popcorn and it's super salty and super buttery and it's like really good, but then you're like, dang, that kind of salty. I need a drink. And so you're like, oh, now I'm paying $6 for a Coke, and if I drink it, I'm just going to have to pee and miss the movie. Now, here's the thing. This is based on the movie theater, so you have to like take this with a grain of salt. I always bring my water bottle with me. Now, most movie theaters won't care. They'll just be like, whatever. Like I just bring my hydro flask. It's just a water bottle and it has water in it, right? I bring that, it fits in the cup holder, and I get my popcorn. I don't have to pay for a drink. I have it available to me if I need it. And so what I do is I have the water bottle, and so if I'm in dire need, I can take a sip. But if not, I usually just don't. And I usually just eat the popcorn and suffer without a drink. And honestly, it's a pretty good method because it's a psychological thing where I feel like if I didn't pay for it, I'm not pressured to drink it. And so I feel like I can just survive and I'll be okay. But I know that in an emergency situation, I could. And so my brain essentially doesn't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so, hey, listeners, try that one at home. Try that one at home.
When we went and saw FNAF,
yeah,
did we take candy with us?
I'm trying to remember. I don't know if we did.
We didn't buy candy, but
Right.
someone gave you like a 5-pound bag of candy corn. So we put some in a
you're
bag.
Right. You're
And like
so right.
you, me, and whoever else came with us. I don't remember which of your roommates came with us.
Yeah.
We all
Some of them
like
came, but I don't
we're
remember which
passing the bag of candy corn back and
I
forth
do
across
remember
the aisle.
that.
That's what we did. Now I
That's
remember.
what it was. Because we also had lunch before, so we weren't like, starving. But we had Mexican food like right before. Oh, I forgot about
True.
that. Remember, still looking back, I cannot believe you actually drove down here and stayed for the weekend so we could watch the Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
Well, it wasn't
That was
just for FNAF. We were supposed to do something else.
We were going to do a ton of content and then decided to just not because we wanted to just hang out.
I was there for that concert thing. You and Gavin
Oh,
did.
you were there for the concert. So you did it. I do remember that. You were there for the concert and then we saw the movie. But we weren't, but that wasn't the original plan. Like it just like happened to work out.
We were supposed to do videos. We were supposed to do like a FNAF video
Yeah.
and a podcast.
And
then I got there and we were like, no.
Nah, I'm okay.
Hard pass.
Wow. Hey, guys. We're getting to like the midpoint of this episode. So I'm going to tell you right now, we're about to get into...
take a power nap while you do this.
We're about to get into My Hero Academia. And that's crazy. Isn't that crazy? This is our number 1 most recommended anime for this podcast. And we're finally getting to it the first season. But listen, if you made it this far, I guarantee you're a loyal listener. And I thank you so much for being a loyal listener. And that's why I'm going to let you know that you should be following us on Instagram at The Nerdiest Podcast, on YouTube at The Nerdiest Podcast, and Twitter at Nerdiest Pod. That's important. That's whatever. What I'm here to tell you right now, listeners, I'm bearing deep into your soul through your headphones. It's not weird. Trust me. Go on this journey with me. TheNerdiestPodcast.com has new merch, brand new merchandising. We have our very own Walt Disney's Public Domain Steamboat Willie t-shirts, and they're super cool, super great design. And it helps support the show. So by doing that, you could help us continue to make great episodes. So if you want to do that, you could do that or get our new Rotten Tomatoes audience score t-shirt for the Nerdiest Podcast. And that just helps us out. We also have stickers if shirts are too expensive. You could do stickers. You could do hats. We have pins, all the stuff. So go to thenerdiespodcast.com. Buy your new merch. It helps support the show. We made all the designs ourselves. I love them. I'm super proud of them. Now, if that's not enough for you, you could become a subscriber. The Nerdiest After Show is only $3 a month for Spotify listeners. And then you get a bonus movie club episode. And there's already a backlog of 12 episodes that you get to listen to. And we love our Nerdiest After Show listeners. Thank you so much. Now, it's time to talk about Nick's favorite anime, My Hero Academia.
Someone say My Hero Academia?
Mr. Nick,
I'm here.
welcome back.
It's good.
I hand the reins to you.
Got a quick power nap. Hold on.
However you'd like to however you'd like to do this. I watched the first season, and we haven't talked about it, and I have some thoughts. So, you're welcome to take
All right.
over.
I can't go on the spiel of why this series means so much to me for like the 70th time, because at this point I'm just repeating myself, and I will tell you I'm working on a video, and it's going to be a big one. But I'll give you the bullet, like the Cliff Notes summary. My Hero was the first anime I watched after Dragon Ball. It was the first anime I watched on my own, which is why I say it's the first one. It's not technically everybody. Anyway, got hooked on like the first 2 episodes, binged through the 3 seasons that were out. I actually caught up to what was airing at the time and like finished the series or finished this season, and then immediately picked up the manga because I didn't want to wait. And I've been caught up on the manga since 2019.
Wow. This is some dedication.
So I've been caught up for a while, and it's been a part of my life for the last 5 6 years actually.
Wow.
So it's a big deal. It means a lot. It's my favorite anime of all time. I connect with it on an emotional level, and there's a lot of like it's a comfort series. It's one of those that's always been there whenever I have like go through rough times. There's so many different, like when I had my first really bad breakup, I started reading the manga. So like, cause it was my comfort show. Cause I was like, okay, I'm just going to read through the manga and like help get over this. And so like all of that kind of stuff. I think it's a great series. I don't really care what people say. It is what it is. So that's what I have to say. I'm more interested to hear what you have to say, because we watched the first 4 episodes together.
We did.
And we haven't talked about it since then. Even then, you didn't really say a lot of what you thought
right then
as we watched it. So I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
So, I remember when we talked about this last, you said, if you don't like this show, you're fired forever. And I took those words to heart, and I saw it as my ticket out of here. And that's why I'm here to say that Mid-Hero Academia is... No, I'm just kidding.
You made a lot of people happy for like 2 seconds. They were like, yeah, he's so right. He said it.
So here we are at My Hero Academia Season 1. And this is the one show that like... Am I right to say that this is one of the more mainstream animes that has hit our, kind of sphere?
Because you can, because it is, financially you can tell. You can walk up to pretty much any random person and they have some understanding of what My Hero is, even if they haven't seen it.
Right.
Other ones in that category would be like Dragon Ball, One Piece, Naruto, Demon Slayer. But you can also say that because the CEO of Toho Animation, which is like the big company over there, said that anime would not be as popular outside of Japan without My Hero. Like My Hero made a lot of inroads for like Crunchyroll to be a thing and like anime to just get more in the zeitgeist of the Western audience, because it's a series that is it draws a lot of inspiration from like Marvel and DC and like all of these Western superhero comics. So if you take that and you do a fun little twist on that and introduce it to the audience of people who it's based on, they're going to latch onto it and be like, oh, that's really cool. Like Deku later on gets a lot more he has like a lot of similarities to like Spider-Man, and there's a lot of like Marvel
Spider-Man
stuff that comes into that, and it was just really cool how all of that was worked in. And now like American stuff is drawing inspiration from My Hero, so it's kind of like coming full circle. And it has been really nice. Not to like hijack your topic here, it has been really nice.
I asked a question
because all of the other Shonen Jump authors did like congratulatory comments to Horikoshi for finishing, because it's been going for 10 years.
Right.
So like
it's a big deal.
And I've said on stream, like, this is probably one of the last series that's gonna have such a long
longevity. Yeah.
And like over 400 chapters. Like, it's a long series.
Yeah.
So all of these different authors are being so congratulatory, and the author of Jujutsu Kaisen was like, yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen would not have been a thing if My Hero wasn't a thing. So like, even a manga that was running alongside My Hero was like, hey, I took inspiration from this, and now we're like running alongside each other. So that's really cool. So it is. To answer your question, yes, it is.
Yes,
mainstream.
One of the more mainstream, because this is this is the show that has been recommended to me the most. Like when we talk about like this kind of thing, like, oh, I watched this for the podcast, watch this, and they're like, oh, you have to do My Hero, you have to watch My Hero. Like, this is the one. And I think it is a lot of people's comfort show, and I've picked up on that a lot, and I think it's really interesting. And I definitely got like a big Spider-Man vibe. Like, you said that, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. Like, it's a big like underdog story of like someone that didn't necessarily like deserve the power, if that makes sense. Like someone who's very unextraordinary, working very hard to grow into something bigger and something better, which is a great like anyone can cook kind of thing. It's like a wonderful, like super encouraging, positive message of like, if you like work hard and do what you want to do and be who you want to be. And that was the main theme I picked up, that I was really like, okay, like I can get behind this. Like, this is, I understand the phenomenon. I'm like, this is a huge, like super inspirational and like really heartwarming. And I was kind of surprised by that. And what I'll say is My Hero is not my favorite show that we've watched for this podcast.
It's still Demon Slayer?
Not my favorite. It's still Demon Slayer.
Dang.
I know, right? It's not my favorite, but it is second or third, and I'll put it up there. Love is War is kind of like, they're kind of like fluctuating, because that one was really my style and it was really funny. But this one, like, it really did feel like in one of the early Marvel TV shows, and it was very like, I don't even know, like it introduced the characters really well, and they all had really unique powers. And I think the quirk concept alone was a lot more unique than I expected it to be. And they weren't just like, yeah, you know, everyone's born with superpowers, you know, and yeah, so everyone has superpowers except this guy. He literally sucks so much. But no, it's so much more nuance to it, and they're like, oh, they're still discovering things about their powers, and it's a very like coming of age story, and it's very like, oh, I'm still figuring out who I am, and I'm still figuring out my power, and I'm figuring out how to control that. And he was very much the outcast in the sense of like, he didn't have that. And so it's the underdog story, like coming of age, like mentor sees something in like this scrappy little kid, like very Captain America, like, oh, he sees something in him, and so he's gonna, you know, push him and give him this gift to like help him. And it is very Captain America, like, and I think a lot of people latch onto those stories, and that's what's been so frustrating about like things like Marvel and DC lately, is they're so nihilistic, and there's none of that hope and like heartwarming energy out of this. And it's kind of like, that's what people want to see. That's right. Why My Hero has this huge movement, because you know he's gonna get back up. Like, Deku is not gonna take no for an answer. He's gonna like break his arm getting into this school, and you're like, heck yeah, that dude's got drive, and I respect that grind. Like, me and Deku could be bros. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I would go bowling with Deku. Like, I think he'd be a fun hang. So it's kind of like, I don't know. It was very heartwarming, and I saw the appeal from the very beginning. Like, this show was different from other shows that we've watched for this series, and I picked up on that even in the first 4 episodes that we watched. I was like, this is different. Like, it is really not. It's even different than other like superhero shows. So I don't know. I see the appeal for sure, and I've picked up on that.
Yeah, it is. I think that's one thing, at least something that I've noticed, especially in comparison to other shows that are big right now. Like Jujutsu Kaisen is that very nihilistic. There is no hope. Like everything is bleak. And then there's My Hero, which is kind of the opposite and the antithesis of that, of like, well, we have this hopeful, optimistic message, and even though things look bad, like,
we're going to be okay.
And that was kind of the whole arc while they were at the USJ when the League of Villains showed up. Because it's like, oh, things look really bad, but All Might's going to come save us, so it's okay. Right. So, like, there's that hope and that spark of positivity, which is something I will say gets very well fleshed out and very well, like, expounded upon across the series. This is, like, it's so hard because there's so much after what you, there's 6 more seasons and 4 movies outside of what you've watched.
See, this I think
this is the biggest series you've watched so far.
Yeah. No, it is.
Because Demon Slayer was only 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Love
is War was like 2.
Sword Art Online is only 4 seasons and 2 movies.
Yeah.
3 movies. So this is by far the biggest show we've watched for the podcast. So maybe 30 years from now, we'll finally be talking about season 8, which will probably be the last season. And we'll be like, well,
wow,
30 years ago, the manga ended and we started this journey, but here we
anniversary.
Are.
Wow. What a time. Yeah, I really like the school setting because I think it provided for high stakes, but not too high, you know? Like, it was not like Demon Slayer is a very good show, but the stakes are life and death 24/7. And it's very, so you're like kind of on edge the whole time, where the show is it's very chill, and it's very much like, okay, we're in school, and so it's going to be high stakes because we want to compete and we want to be the best of the best because, like, we got into this school. And then even at the beginning when their teacher's like, okay, whoever fails this test, like, you're expelled and you're out. And they're kind of like, oh, like, this is really serious and this and that. And even though it turned up to be like kind of a bait and switch, it was still like had the tension, but I didn't feel like I was on edge the whole time. And it made for a very just enjoyable viewing experience because I didn't feel like I was watching the most brutal, intense thing. And even at the end, like, they have the big fight, but no one's ever, like, really scared of dying, you know? Like, that's never the concern. And it was a much more creative take on that kind of genre where it wasn't like this huge epic final fight. It was a lot more chill. And I don't know if this might ruffle feathers at all. I think the final fight of this season was a little boring. I was a little bored for the final fight of this season. And I was kind of like, all right, you know, that's okay.
Which part?
The last,
it's like multi-faceted.
Yeah. The last, like, the second to, like, episode 11 and 12 were a little dragged a little bit for me. Like the last one, I was like back into it. And then when they were first in the USJ, I was like, okay, this is a really cool setting. Like, I like the concept of where we're fighting and how it came about.
Right.
But then it just kind of kept going, and I was like, okay, we can wrap it up a little bit here. Like,
That's
come on. Yeah, I'm so fascinated by the structure of these shows because it's always like the concept of the show comes in by like episode 7, and then we do something for episode 8, and then 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 is a fight. And I just don't understand. Yes. I don't get it. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Which is funny because like where we're at in the anime now. Hold on, let me pull up the IMDb. How long has the fight been going? I think in the current season. I'm gonna look.
So, yeah, because in the first season, it starts in episode 9 at the end of episode 9. And it doesn't end until the end of 13.
Oh, let's go. There's a new episode tomorrow. Freak yeah. Okay, so season 7 right now. The first 2 episodes are a fight. And we've been fighting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Stop.
And we will be fighting until the end of the season. And that's not even the end of the fight. Now, here's what makes it different, though.
Oh, my
gosh. It's multiple different fights. Because this is like the war arc. So there's like 5 or 6 different fights going on that we're jumping back and forth between.
Yeah.
When it's relevant to the plot. And obviously, like, narratively speaking, everything gets wrapped up and kind of centralizes for one final, like,
right,
hoorah. But I do see your point about, like, in the early anime, when it's just that one fight in that one centralized location.
You're like, okay, come on.
It's like, okay, guys, come on. We got to keep the pacing moving a little bit.
That's
so I can understand that.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, I think that's part of the reason I liked Love is War so much is because I felt like every episode was different and we didn't have to spend 4 episodes on one thing.
Right.
Like, Love is War was very like, oh, this episode we're doing this, and then the next episode we're doing this, and then the next we're doing this, and they're all connected and they weave into the same narrative. But I was never bored. Where even like the entertainment district arc of Demon Slayer, there was some parts where I was like, we're still just fighting. We're still just fighting, and like the animation is gorgeous, but I'm kind of like, we need to go to something else. Like, cut to something else for a second. Like, I need to take a breath. Like, I can't do this. So that was good. I think overall, like, Deku's just a good character, bro. Like, he's just the best. Like, he really is.
Amen.
Like,
finally.
He's just the bomb. So I don't know. Like,
here's what I want to ask you. A very common criticism of the first season. Do you feel like Deku cries too much?
Cries too much?
Yeah.
That is not a valid criticism at all.
Okay, thank you.
What? That's stupid.
So, a very common criticism that comes up is that Deku cries too much, especially in the first season and kind of in the second season. And I think the thing that frustrates me the most about that take is they eliminate all context.
Yeah.
They're like, well, he cries too much, so it's bad. And I'm like, okay, well, if you look at it in an echo chamber and put a counter up, yeah, he does cry a lot.
Yeah,
but
the counter's high.
if you look at it with the full context of like, every time he cries, it's either for a super emotional good reason or it's for a gag. Like,
right.
It's one or the other. It's never like unnecessary. Like,
No.
I mean, you could argue a gag is unnecessary, but if it's played up for comedic effect, I don't think that counts.
No.
But if you think about every time he's cried, they're like, why was he crying in front of All Might at the beginning? That's like so
It's so weird. And I'm like, this is literally his hero.
Yeah, like imagine if your hero
Oh my
walked up to
gosh.
you, who had previously said, "No, you cannot be a hero. Sorry, it sucks to suck." Walks up and says, "Hey, not only do I think you can be a hero, I want to give you my power for you to be a hero because you have a heroic spirit." Yeah, I'd keel over and start crying too.
That's stupid. That's a dumb criticism.
I hate that criticism so much.
People love to nitpick so much. Like that.
It's
That's stupid.
it's
Okay.
dumb.
Top 3 characters for me. Number 1, Deku, my boy. We'll go
True.
bowling. That's cool.
True.
Number 2, the DJ teacher is
Present
really, really funny. Love him so much. Number 3, the principal is adorable. And I love, I love that he was like, I could be a mouse, I could be a cat, I could be a dog. I don't know. No one really knows. But he's like so dignified and like not what I expected at all. And he was like a good guy, you know? Like so many of these stories are like authority bad and, you know, they're like fighting against the school, and it's like Harry Potter is like that and Mashal is like that, and it's kind of like so refreshing to just be like, the school is good. Like, it's the best of the best. That's not the point. The point is they're going through the school and it's good and they're growing. And it's like,
Right.
thank you for not doing the evil principal, because it's so easy and it's so overdone, and he was really sweet and cute and like was just doing his job, and I was like, what a guy. Like I'm into it. I like him. Least favorite, the stupid Snape guy who, you know, does like, he has like the goggles and he has like the scarf and he uses the eye drops and he's in the sleeping bag.
You don't like Eraserhead?
No, he sucks.
That's a hot take. I don't think I've
I
ever heard
don't.
that one.
I don't like him. He's annoying.
I feel
He's
like
really
I know who your
mopey.
number 1 is going to be. I don't want to say anything, but I feel like I know.
Oh my gosh.
Not like
See?
an Eraserhead. That's interesting.
No.
Not
he was
even after
annoying.
like he puts his life on the line and like gets his face smashed in to protect the kids and like
I
does
mean,
the
he
super cool fight.
he like redeemed himself enough there, but I really thought his like bait and switch of expelling someone was dumb. Like I didn't like that, because I felt like they were like, we need to have stakes somewhere, and then so they put it there, and I was kind of like, all right, like I get it, but okay, he could have like. So I don't know, but he really did just give me a Snape vibe where they were like, redemption arc, and I was like, okay, so is he like dead?
No.
Oh, no.
No, he just
So-
like he'll be back.
I thought he was like dead,
No. No.
but yeah,
No, he's not.
I thought it was I didn't like him. I also really liked the frog girl. I thought she was so funny. I thought she was hilarious, and I like I had this like flashback when I was like, oh, the frog character, she's hilarious. Like I just really love that her quirk is frog. Like like so many people are like levitation or like speed or like this and that, and she's like frog. Like that is her
quirk, frog.
frog. It's like the Lego Ninjago movie where he's like, what's my power? And he goes, green. It's like, is what? Green. And I was like, he didn't, even the announcer was like, it's not frog powers, it's just frog.
Her quirk, frog.
Frog. I was like, so, but I had this flashback of when the Mandalorian was running, and you were like, who is out here simping for the frog lady in the Mandalorian? And I was like, I am. And
How do
we
you
made
feel
an
now?
animation. It just made me realize I have a type. And, you know, some people's type is frogs.
Stop. Stop. No. No, you can't.
That's a joke.
Say
That's
that.
a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke. My
You
lawyer
better
has
be.
advised me. This is a joke. Oh.
Gosh. All right.
Yeah, that was funny.
Who else is on your list of least favorites? Because you only did one.
Least favorite? Who's the bully guy?
Which one?
You know, the bully guy.
Oh,
like,
Bakugo?
yeah, he sucks. Like, I know he's supposed to suck, but, like, he sucks. Bakugo sucks. He's just... I think I don't like him because I knew a lot of people that were just like him.
Me too.
And it was like... It was so... Which is a sign of good writing, but it just means he sucks. And so, it's just like, he thinks he's the stuff... And so he talks like he's the stuff, but then the second you challenge him, he like immediately flakes and like can't do it. And I was just like, this is a little too real. I was like, I've seen this before.
How did you feel about his fight with Deku during the
simulation thing?
Yeah.
That's in the 7th episode.
I
It was
think so.
good. It was good. Well, I had it on IMDb, and the episode is titled Deku versus Kachin. So it was very good. And I get it because they're kind of like, okay, how do we get some fights out of this show that's just about the school? Like, we can't just like throw a villain in there every other episode. Like, that's going to get old. It's not going to work. And so I think making them fight was really smart, and I thought it was good payoff, and like cutting between the flashbacks of them as kids and like giving more context to how important the fight was really brilliant, because it's like, you know, they're fighting and it's like, okay, he's fighting because he's a bully. Like, he's fighting this kid that he's been picking on forever, and he obviously is just super prideful and is like, I'm so much better than this guy. Like, why can't it be me? Like, I'm the best of the best, but he's like, obviously not. And so he's like, this little scutch has been keeping his quirk a secret and making me look like an idiot, and I hate that. And I was like, oh ho ho ho, on contraire, no he's not. And I was like, it was the subtext that made it really good and really complicated. And I was like, it was a good fight. And I really like that he told him at the end. And this just kind of like goes back to Deku's virtue and his very like kind energy. And he's very like, he was like, I feel like you should know this. He was like, I don't want this to be a fight where you feel like I was keeping a secret. Like, I have to clear the air. And I was like, what a good guy. Did your video flash for like a split second?
Yeah.
I had that scared me.
Yeah.
I thought
it's
you did
fine.
a thumbs up again.
No. No. It's all good.
But yeah, it was very much just like it was a very virtuous act to someone that like, he was loving his enemies well. And I was like, wow, finally a freaking good example of like a virtuous main character for once.
Would you believe me if I told you I have a thumbnail ready and I'm starting a script on that? Like, literally that exact topic. The thumbnail is hold on. I gotta just show you. Otherwise you won't believe me. Because I was sitting in Young Adults, we had a sermon on that, and I was like, that would make for a really good video idea. Where is it?
Let me see.
I gotta show more. I'm on my phone.
You on the Canva app?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can get it.
Oof.
Oh, why is it doing that? Hold on.
Drop your brightness.
What? Why does it look like that? Dog, who messed up my thumbnail? Hold on. I'll pull up the Canva app on my iPad.
I think it was you.
No, it was Canva, because that thumbnail was perfect the last time I looked at it.
So yeah, very virtuous main character that I liked a lot, and I was like, this is a good representation, and I'm going to assume that continues throughout the rest of the series. And
Oh, yes, it does.
Oh, yes, it does. So
There we go. Okay, go away. Yeah, literally.
love your enemies. There he is.
Literally.
Man of the hour.
Literally started scripting that like weeks ago. I'll get it out eventually, but yeah. Yeah.
So here's where I got to go into what I didn't like.
Okay.
Here's the
knew it was
part where
coming.
I got to put down the hammer.
'Kay.
And I'm going to say something that you might not like or you might agree.
Thank you for
I just need you to be-
emotionally and mentally preparing.
I just need you to be prepared. I really, really liked the show. I liked that it was really wholesome and it was just fun and it wasn't too intense or whatever. I felt like this show would have aired and killed on Disney XD. It had like a Disney XD vibe.
I assure you it does not stay that way.
The first season was very much like it would cut to commercial and I was just really ready for we'll be right back to My Hero Academia on Disney Channel. I was like ready for like the like really like geometric like Disney XD like because Disney XD is just Disney Channel for skateboard kids.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what that vibe was. And I'm not going to say it hurt my enjoyment. It was just it watches more like a mature kids show than like an adult anime. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like not as a, and it uses that very well. That's what we've been talking about is this like, it has those virtuous like elements and it has good life lessons and good like loving your enemies and that kind of thing. And that's really great. And I think that's why a lot of people crap on it because they're like, it's too easy. They're like, it's too simple. It's too like lesson of the day. Like you don't like, it's not real. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's a valid criticism, but I think that's why it's good. I think that's
Right.
the strength that it uses. And so it's more, now it comes down to a preference thing. Like, do you see that as a strength or a weakness? And I'm kind of a middle ground of like, I really loved that virtuous theme and I really loved seeing that in the show, but I was also, there were times where I was like, it gets a little corny, it gets a little Disney Channel-y, and it was kind of like, okay, that's fine,
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's partially where a lot of the Western influences come in too.
Mhm.
But something that might shed a little light on this is My Hero was Horikoshi's third attempt at getting a manga to run in Shonen Jump. And he has said now in interviews, like after the fact, he was like, yeah, if My Hero didn't work, I was just going to quit. This
Oh.
was like my last ditch effort at doing something.
Yeah.
So there was that aspect of it. And I think the beginning is very safe because it took off and it started going. And then once he was a little more like, okay,
A little more
well, they're not
comfortable.
going to axe My Hero because it's so pop. Because like once a series gets to a certain
Right.
level of popularity, they're actually going to start begging you to not end it, as opposed
Right.
to threatening to axe it. And there's actually a
That makes
snippet in volume 20 where he was like, yeah, I thought the series would be done by the time we got to volume 20, but we're not even like halfway, which volume wise, that is correct. Volume
Right.
21 is halfway because we know 42 will be the end. And the last volume comes out in December. So to that end, like about the 15, so like 100 or so chapters in, I think he realized he could do a lot more because he's like, okay, they're not gonna axe me now, so let's get nuts.
So let's do more.
And then the story starts accelerating from that point on to the end. And I see a lot of something I want to ask you about is well, I guess you can't like fully answer the question. But one of the common criticisms is that a lot happens in these kids' first year of being at school. Like, mild spoiler, this is not the only terrorist attack that happens on this specific group of kids.
Right.
And one of the main complaints is like, well, for a show or a series that is about these kids going to high school, the whole series takes place pretty much in their first year.
Yeah.
And that's a lot to happen. And my rebuttal to that is terrorists don't really care how long you've been in school. They're going to do what they want to do on their timetable.
So
if that just so happens to take place in a year,
in your freshman year,
then that's what happens.
So does a whole series take place in just their freshman year?
Do you want me to answer that?
Yes.
Yes. Well, no. Because where we're at right now, they've started their second year.
And it's supposed to be a 4-year program?
No, it's 3.
Okay.
It's first,
so
second,
the
third.
show's not going to end with, like, graduation?
Unless the final chapter has a time skip, no.
Interesting. See, I was wondering how that was going to go because I was like, all right, like, you could really easily do, like, a year per season or, like, 2 seasons is a year. But no.
Whoa.
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 I see that criticism, and I could, now I don't have the broader context, but I could see how that would look, but I would also argue like movies, like if you look at like Harry Potter, it's kind of like, okay,
7 movies across how many years?
This, like, 7 movies over, do they do 7 years? 6 years?
I think I don't know, let me Google it real quick.
I think it's 6 years. But also think about, like, Hogwarts gets attacked, like, a lot for them to still just keep going. Like, they're like,
7 years at Hogwarts.
Hogwarts. Yeah.
So it's
like
a book per movie. Or it's a book per year.
Yeah. And so it's kind of like, Hogwarts gets attacked a lot for them to just kind of keep going, you know?
Right.
Like, but it's kind of like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's a suspension of disbelief kind of thing where it's like, in this world, like, this is a world where like people can make things levitate, and this dude has like a 6-cylinder engine in his calves, and you're wondering why bad people attack so often. Like, these
are also super powered bad people.
This is
so they're
this
a little
is your
more
question?
Incentivized than
this is,
you know.
I was like, that's kind of a really realistic. That's a really realistic expectation from a show that's very up here with the realism.
Yeah, like there's realistic aspects to it, but there's also like, I don't know.
It's like
there's a kid taking the entrance exam whose head is a spray bottle container.
Right.
Like, and you're gonna lecture me about realism? He should be dead. How does he eat food?
How did he?
His nose is a nozzle.
Did he start off that way? Did he start off that way? Was he born like that?
What's so funny about that?
Was his dad a spray bottle and his mom like a person?
What's so funny about that actually is I don't think the series has done it yet, but it's like a 3-tier breakdown of the different types of quirks.
Oh.
There's hold on, I gotta find it because I'm gonna butcher it. I know, fake fan, I should know.
Cringe. This is like the Enneagram for weebs. Like,
there's a very specific okay, here it is. So there's emitter, transformation, and mutant, which is also called heteromorph.
Mm-hmm.
Emitter would be like Kaminari, who can shoot lightning, like he can emit stuff. Transformation is who's an example of someone you would have seen with this quirk?
Like,
I don't think
where, like, you
have
transform?
seen anyone.
Like the engine guy can transform in a way.
Not that way.
Like All Might?
No, because that's one
No.
for all. I don't.
No.
Transformation is the least common. So, like, there's a guy later on who can touch people and turn them into meatballs. I'm not even
caught
kidding.
me so off guard. Turn them into meatballs. Hey, what's your quirk? Oh, you know.
Or there's a guy who, like,
nothing.
is like Kirishima, but he turns into metal. So that's a transformation one. Kirishima, the guy who can like make his body super hard.
Mm-hmm.
That's a transformation. And
Okay.
then mutant would be like
The spray bottle guy.
yeah, the spray bottle guy or the guy with like all the different arms and the
Right.
mask on his face.
Right.
So those are the three types. But what's so funny about that is that your quirk doesn't show up till you're like 4 or 5.
Right.
So theoretically, the spray bottle kid would have been normal till he was like 5.
right.
And then he would have just woken up with a spray bottle nozzle as his head.
You know,
Like, that's really freaky to me.
that's kind of
Like,
funny.
could you imagine just waking up
And you're
and
a
your
spray
head
bottle.
is a spray bottle?
I hate it when
That
that happens.
terrifying.
Oh,
The My Hero
man.
universe is actually really scary.
Really scary. There's sludge monsters in the street. So is this city kind of like the MCU, like New York, where it's just kind of like, why would you live here? Like every bad guy seems to be right
It's
here.
Japan. It's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
real life Japan.
Yeah, exactly. Why would
So-
you want to live there? Every bad guy.
They virtually
seems to
live
be...
in Tokyo.
Yeah.
Or maybe a smaller city, maybe like Shibuya. I don't know.
Shibuya.
Shibuya. I think it's technically pronounced Shibuya. I don't know.
Yeah,
I didn't
I'm
listen
white.
to them when they were saying it in Jujutsu Kaisen.
I'm white.
The Shibuya incident, I think, is how they pronounce it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
There
too
is a
white for
really
this.
good,
I watched the dub.
There is a really good subplot about heteromorph racism,
Yeah,
which is
Oh.
handled really well.
that's cool.
Because, you know, in our world, we hate people who look different than us. And Horikoshi was like, all right, bet. Let me see how I can work that
Let's
in.
talk about that. Let's talk about that.
So it was really good.
Interesting.
The series gets a lot more complex as it goes on and fleshes
Yeah.
out. And I think that's why the series is so long, because Horikoshi has a lot of ideas that he wants to fully flesh out, which I don't think is a
Yeah.
bad thing, because a lot of series end too soon without fleshing out enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I think My Hero has the perfect balance of like, okay, we fleshed this out, now let's move on to the next thing. And there's even things that are people like,
Right.
okay, can you flesh out on that more? And it's like, no, we've spent 30 chapters on this. We need to move on.
It's like,
Like-
no. I understand that you would watch this. You would like watch this until you were dead, but like we gotta
Yeah,
wrap it up.
Horikoshi needs a break,
like,
dog. He's been going like this for 10 years. He needs like
Yeah.
5 years off
Yeah,
before
for real.
his
For real.
residuals from My Hero. He's going to be set for life.
Yeah, no,
It's one of the most profitable series of all time.
He's he's well off. He's
He's
okay.
going to be good for a while. A lot of
He's
people
gonna
are
be all
interested
right.
to see if he's going to do another series
another
after
show.
this.
Because
Or
you could do a whole like from the creator of My Hero Academia.
that he could also, like Naruto has a sequel that got
Yeah.
like a 5-year time skip or something, and then he
Huh.
did more with Naruto. So
Yeah.
we could do that. Could do a completely different topic. This is what the creator of Full Metal Alchemist did. She wrote Full
Yeah.
Metal Alchemist and was like, all right, peace out. I'm going to write something else.
Bye.
And then never touched Full
Which
Metal
is so
Alchemist
fair.
again.
Which is so fair. If it's done, it's done. Like, don't.
Yeah, if you feel like your
don't
story
rush
and
it.
your world is done, don't let the Shonen Jump money tell you
Right.
otherwise.
I don't know that money would be mighty tempting.
Like,
I would see that dotted line and I would go, I could flesh it out a little more. What's 30 more chapters?
What's another
30
1,000?
more?
Everyone is like, I think Shonen Jump is kicking him out because he said in an interview when it announced like, oh, we're going into the epilogue, because one of the chapter titles was epilogue, and he was like, yeah, I really want to do like a long epilogue, flesh everything out, conclude it. And then the following week it was like, so My Hero ends in 5 chapters. Everyone's like,
Oh,
what happened to the long epilogue? I thought we had like 8 more chapters, 10 more chapters. Which, for Shonen Jump, 5-chapter epilogue is a lot, because a lot of series will do 1 chapter and be like, okay, here's a couple panels of where everybody's at. Here's the resolution between the main character and the love interest. Here's where the story is at now, and done. Cool. Bye.
It's like the end of a basketball movie where everyone freezes and then there's text to fill in the gaps of where everyone ended, and it's like...
Bakugo finally got his attitude checked. And that's
it's like
the
him
end.
in prison.
Deku was found dead on the street because he jumped off a building.
Deku found dead in Cincinnati.
Well, unless you have any other thoughts, I got one more question for you.
Okay, let me hear it.
My Hero Academia. I'm just going to read what you wrote on the docket. Is My Hero mid or like really fire?
I did, in fact, write that on the notes.
Word for word, by the way.
As much as I would love to like scream from the rooftop and be like mid Hero Academia and start a fight, I'm gonna have to say this one's really fire. It really is like really fire, and I really enjoyed. This is one of. There were 3 shows that we've watched on this podcast for Anime Adventure that didn't feel like a chore. And it was Demon Slayer, Love is War, and My Hero. And these were shows that I was like actually interested in watching. And then the rest of it is like, all right, let me press play because I need to, watch it for the episode. And then this one was actually like, oh, this is very well thought out and very well done. And so I'm going to say, like, really fire. That's where I'm at.
So, usually, at the end of an anime adventure, we pick the next one. Right. But we're going to take a little break. We got to figure out the schedule for the rest of the year, so we're not going to do that. But, here's what I want to do. Is I want you to rank the anime you've watched so far on like a numerical list. You've got 8.
Okay.
So you're like, well, now 9. So you're 1 away from having a top 10.
Okay.
Which is going to be great.
Okay.
So I want you to rank these.
Okay.
But once you solidify the number, no, I'm going to pull it up. Don't look it up. Cuz that's part of the thing is once you rank it, you can't change the placement.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
So you can't be like, oh, I'll put Oshinoko at 1, and then, Spy Family is really good, so I'll put that at number 1. Like, so no, once it's locked in.
Okay. So start at the beginning of what we've watched.
Okay.
And I will put them in the list.
Demon Slayer Season 1 and the movie. Because that's what we watched first.
Okay.
Oh, you just want them all?
I'm gonna write them all down in this list and then give my top 9.
Oh, I was just gonna have you do it as we go.
Oh. Well, I need to see all of them.
No.
I need to see all of them.
No, that's part of the game.
No, because then if
that's part of the game.
Okay, if that's how it's gonna be, Demon Slayer Season 1 and movie gets number 1.
All right. Sword Art Online Season 1.
The
first
show
13
or
episodes.
the movie?
The show.
The show. 8.
8? Okay.
Yeah.
That's awfully low. Spy Family.
Shoot, dude. Let me go 4.
Okay.
That's yeah.
Are you writing
yeah.
them down as we go?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I can keep up with what I've already taken.
Kaguya-sama, Love is War.
Let me go 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sword Art
Number
Online,
2.
Progressive.
9.
Nice. That's wild. Okay.
I made a YouTube short about how much I hated that movie, and I just got a comment that was like, that it just said, I completely disagree. And that was the entire comment. And I was like, thanks for being respectable.
Thanks for understanding. Thank you. Mashal, Magic, and
gosh.
Muscles.
There's one I'm forgetting. I don't remember what
Good.
I've watched.
That's the point.
6.
6?
Yeah.
All right. Oshinoko.
5.
5. Demon Slayer Season 2.
Oh, I forgot about season 2.
Yeah, I was not including Season 2 in there. You got to rank it separately for now. You don't have enough anime to not do it.
7.
7. And then My Hero Academia.
Number 3.
Number 3. All right, read me the list.
There you go.
Bottom
There
to
you go.
top.
So number 9 would be the Sword Art Online movie. That movie is thumbs down, poop in the toilet. And then number 8 is the Sword Art Online show. That one is thumbs down, a smaller poop in the toilet. And then number 7, Demon Slayer Season 2, which if I had remembered that was being ranked separately, it would have been a lot higher. And that's where my brain disconnected. Number 6 was Mashal, Magic and Muscles. That one was fine. It was kind of cringe. Wasn't a huge fan. Number 5, Oshinoko. Really, really good, but so bizarre. But that's what I liked, but that's what I didn't like. So there you go. Number 4, Spy Family. Nice, good, wholesome fun. I like that. Number 3, My Hero. You know, we just spent a whole hour talking about it. Good stuff. Number 2, Love is War. Funny. Too funny, you know? It really was my jam, slow pace. And the number 1, Demon Slayer Season 1 and the movie. Bro, come on.
I'm interested to see if anything Demon Slayer we watch will top that.
I don't know, because I was so invested in that first season. And so, who's to say? But right now, like, nothing has topped that first episode of what we've watched.
Dang.
So there you go. You started me on peak.
I got to step it up. Maybe since you're not picking this time, I'll pick again.
Pick something fire.
And well, how much time you got? Because we could watch one.
You didn't put Pompo the Cinephile.
Oh,
there.
true. You have seen Tang.
That was after show.
Where would you put Pompo the Cinephile? I'll let you rearrange because I forgot. Because I was looking at the YouTube playlist.
It would go in...
Based on what you said, I feel like I know where it's going to go.
It's going to go in number 5.
Wow, that's a lot higher than I thought.
I would watch it. It's above Oshinoko.
Oh, that's true.
It's just based on like what I would watch again. Like I would watch that again.
That's
over Oshinoko, Mashal, or Sword Art Online.
I think everyone would watch a lot of things over Sword Art Online.
And there you go. Well, hey, unless you have anything else to add, we made it to the end of the episode.
We sure did. I didn't fall asleep.
Here we are. Hey, thank you so much for joining us on this journey. Now, we don't know when. We are taking a break from the anime adventures just a little bit since we ended up doubling up, but it's just how the calendar worked out. But we have some great episodes coming out very soon that we're very excited to share, and we cannot wait. So, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Nerdiest Podcast. If you like what we do here, make sure you leave a 5-star review on wherever you're listening, on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if that's not enough, then you can go follow us on Instagram at The Nerdiest Podcast, Twitter at Nerdiest Pod, YouTube at The Nerdiest Podcast. Everywhere there, TheNerdiestPodcast.com has new merch. That's right, brand new merch for you. The Steamboat Willie public domain shirt and The Nerdiest Podcast Rotten Tomatoes shirt. We also have stickers and hats and sweatshirts and everything you would ever need in a plethora of designs. So go to thenerdiestpodcast.com and all that money goes supports the show. Speaking of money, for a mere $3 a month, you could go on the Spotify membership and join the Nerdiest After Show, where we do a monthly movie club and talk about movies that the other person hasn't seen. And this month we will be doing Dan in Real Life, a Steve Carell classic. So make sure you subscribe over there so that you can see all that exclusive content and it helps support the show. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. We will see you real soon. Until then, bye.